want to welcome everybody. My name is Albert Park. I'm the director of the HKUST Institute for Emerging Market Studies. This presentation today is part of a series that we have been co-organizing with EY Hong Kong. And this is the first time we've actually done it in this venue. The last event we did was during the Occupy, the bit blocked here, so we held the event in the UST Business School facility over in the Bank of China building. So we hope to do this regularly in the future. And the series is about emerging market insights. It reflects kind of a joint interest of HKUST and EY to provide thought leadership on issues facing businesses and policymakers in emerging market countries. Our institute is mainly funded from the generous support of EY, and that reflects their realization that a lot of the future business of EY and many other multinationals will be in emerging markets. And from the university standpoint, we have a lot of faculty doing research on many issues very relevant for understanding what's going on in China and other emerging markets. And the university really would like to encourage its faculty to do research that is policy relevant and can contribute to public discussions and engagements about issues that are challenging emerging markets going forward. And so we set up this institute. I want to thank our Executive Vice President Provost Wei Shi, who's here today. We're very fortunate to have him, who was very instrumental in supporting the establishment of the institute from the beginning, working very closely with EY to get us up and going. So today's talk is about political and economic consequences of demographic change in emerging markets, which of course is a key factor which is going to affect politics and economics. And so one of the goals of our series is to try to invite very prominent speakers to speak on these topics that are going to be relevant. And we're very fortunate today to have Jack Goldstone, who's a professor at George Mason University, but much more exciting for us is that he is going to be moving to HKUST to become the director of our new Institute for Public Policy and Administration, which again reflects our university's commitment to really engaging much more directly on issues relevant for public policy discussion going forward. So when Jack comes online, you should keep an eye out for the activities and events that his institute will be organizing, and we'll be working closely together, obviously, because there are many, we really share many of the same areas of objectives and goals. So our institute, just a quick word, I want to advertise our activities. You can keep track of what we're doing on our website and social media outlets. We have about 40 or so faculty associates from different departments throughout the university, mainly in the business school and the social sciences. And we support research by those faculty on issues relevant to emerging markets. And we also have a thought leadership brief series, which provides very concise summaries of how research can inform important policy issues, as well as a working paper series of our academic publications. And we run a number of events, both academic in nature and also talks like this, which are much more focused at communicating with the business and policy community. So I encourage you to keep track of what we're doing and peruse our website. We have made really an effort to have lots of videos and other very accessible materials that can be informative, even if you can't attend all of the events that we organize. Okay, before we get started, let me invite Agnes Chan to come up and make a few remarks.
Thank you, Professor Park, and a very warm welcome, Professor Shea, Professor Goldstone, and ladies and gentlemen. And I also see a few familiar faces here. Professor King. A very warm welcome, everybody. It's my pleasure to have you here at the EY venue. And I was pleased that we didn't choose a day last week to host this event, because otherwise I think you'll be hearing another speech, from outside on the debate. Anyway, emerging market has been the driving force in the world's economic growth in the past decade. And concurrent with that rapid growth is the fundamental change in demography. Taking China as an example, which I'm sure we have the expert here, but a few points I just want to highlight on a number of challenges. Of course, the aging population. With the one-child policy in China introduced in 1980s, China's working population has been falling since 2012, and the number of people aged 65 or above is projected to exceed 30% after 2014. That means a declining working population will no longer be able to support the increasingly older Chinese population. And the second challenge is on the post-millennials entering into workforce. EY is one of the major employers of university graduates, and we are seeing the millennials, who we usually call the Y generation, entering into the workforce. Those younger generations are more well-educated, internet savvy, and more exposed to Western culture and ideas. So that is another challenge to China. Women population, this is a significant issue in some of the emerging markets, but often overlooked. In some parts of China, there's a long history of preference for son, has led to female infanticide and neglect of daughters. As a result, around 30 million more men than women will reach adulthood and enter China's mating market by 2020. And also a new survey EY commissioned from longitude research also show that there is a significant correlation between gender equality and productivity as well as GDP. So from the economic point of view, the need for a gender equality policy is also very urgent. As demographic shift, particularly in emerging markets, and global megatrends are also driving business complexity and also competitiveness across all sectors. These challenges are all tremendous and also provide opportunities for businesses. So, what is EY doing in relation to emerging market? Professor Park has made some introduction. A few years ago, we set up the Emerging Market Center in London and Dubai, which is a unique platform dedicated to collaborating with leading multinational companies, governments, academics, as well as institutional bodies to support the emerging markets through evaluating business environments, balancing risks and opportunities, as well as investing in talents. And as a proud sponsor of HKUST IEMS, we are delighted to co-host today's event. We want to offer a platform for business leaders like yourself to share with us your views, your valuable insights. So on this note, without further ado, let me take this opportunity to introduce our speakers, Professor Goldstone and Professor Park. Professor Goldstone, I think Albert already has provided some background. And for Albert, he is the director of the Institute of Emerging Market Studies and chair professor of social science at HKUST. And as a development economist, Professor Park's specialty is in the Chinese economy. So I was just throwing out a few points. I hope they are all correct. Having published extensively also on economics of aging, human capital, and also employment and firm performance. And it's often cited by international media. So I hope you all enjoy today's event, and I hope this venue is not too difficult to find, and we look forward to seeing you in more of these events in future. Thank you.